Perfect. So I'm going to kick things off just because we're at time, everybody. My name is Maria Larrazabal. I am a peer consultant with RapidSOS. And today we wanted to just have a quick conversation and host 3 of the counties that were impacted by the service interruption on January 10 to speak about what happened during that service interruption and how they were better able to using technological tools and resources, including platforms such as RapidSOS, to keep continuity in providing emergency response and services during this time. I'm going to ask everybody who's not a speaker at this time to please quickly just turn off your videos if possible. That way, I've pinned our 4 speakers for the session at the moment, and everybody should be muted. And quick reminder, any questions that you do have during the session, please feel free to send them over to myself or Sloan Miller, who you've mainly been in contact with this time. And we will get those over to our speakers after the session and get those answered for you. Additionally, we are currently recording, so we will send this video out after the session is complete. And I will hand it over to Karen Marquez. She is Chief Public Safety Brand Officer for RapidSOS. And let's kick things off. Thank you so much.
Sounds great. Thank you. So for our speakers this morning, as I ask you your questions, if you can also just introduce yourself and what agency you're from. So we'll go ahead and kick this off. Again, as Maria mentioned, my name is Karen Marquez. I'm the Public Safety Brand Officer at RapidSOS. Brief introduction, I've been here working in the private sector for about 5 years. I came from 21 years of experience in the 911 center and excited to bring you these 3 folks who are leaders in the state of Michigan to kind of just share with you some of their stories. So Michael, I'm going to start with you. If you can give us a brief introduction, and then once you do that, if you can walk us through the January 10th service interruption at your facility.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Karen. My name is Mike Armitage. I am the Executive Director here at the Calhoun County Consolidated Dispatch Authority. And for us on January 10th, when we experienced the service disruption, we actually had a complete outage of our systems on the 911 side, both for receiving 911 calls and administrative calls. So when the outage first affected us around 3:15 in the afternoon, any calls that we had going, which we had, I believe, 2 calls at the time that were active 911 calls, those immediately got dropped. So we lost contact with those callers. And then our systems completely froze. Our screens froze. We weren't able to do anything when it came to our phone system. So when we did some test calls, and the phone, when you call 911, would just ring and ring and ring with no answer. So at that point, we knew not only that we had the inability to answer the 911 calls or use our administrative lines, but also that those 911 calls were not being transferred to another 911 center.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Andy, I'm going to go over to you again. Brief introduction, what agency you work for, and then walking us through the January 10th service interruption at your facility.
Sure. My name's Andy Primo. I'm the 911 director here in Menominee County, Michigan. Through January 10th, we realized that how this came about for us, we realized we started receiving what we call no ante or alley or automatic number or location identification in our system. Therefore, once we do that, we start filtering out to see if there is a problem within the system. We did receive confirmation from our service provider that there was an incident affecting the 911 system in our area and throughout other areas in the state of Michigan. We, unlike some of the other 911 centers, we did not lose our ability to receive 911 calls. We just lost the data portion information at that point. And therefore, we used other means that we had to confirm that information when it came in. So all in all, the impacts were not hugely significant for us, but it always does permit a problem because we don't know right away the insight or how in depth that these situations are going to be when it comes to the 911 system.
Yeah, for sure. Andy, thank you for sharing your experience. Pete, same question to you with an introduction and what agency
Yeah.
you work for.
Good afternoon. Pete McWaters. I'm the Executive Director at Ottawa County Central Dispatch, Holland area, Grand Haven, Allendale. We serve a population of about 310,000 people. January 10th, I was working, so I got to help out and witness what was going on. We actually found out about it, firsthand. We received a call from Calhoun County. They had received a couple of our 911 calls, which they are our first overflow option. So if we were really busy, that wouldn't be out of the norm. But we weren't extra busy, and they were receiving our phone calls. So that was our first clue. So our supervisor made a test call from 911, which should come to our location, and that call went to Calhoun. So we knew something was amiss. Right away, she was able to look at our RapidSOS portal, and she had it up and running, and she saw 4 or 5 calls that had shown up on RapidSOS that we did not receive. So she knew at that point that something was wrong with our phone system. And so we were able to scramble pretty quick in terms of calling our 911 callers back that we knew we missed those calls by getting that data from the RapidSOS portal. And it was a little bit chaotic because we didn't know what was going on. We received a notice from our statewide phone provider that there was a statewide issue impacting everywhere. We knew we were totally down in terms of phone calls. We were not receiving any 911 calls. We don't know exactly where those calls were going that were supposed to come to us. I know Muskegon got a couple, Allegan got a couple, and then we were able to call everyone back based on the RapidSOS data that we got. So we were on top of it pretty quick. I think we were on top of it before we got notified by PFN, that our phones were out. And then by using the RapidSOS data, we really were able to kind of catch up quickly. And then, we don't have an after action report yet from PFN, so we don't know exactly what happened. It was about a half hour, I think, where we had no activity, and then about another half hour where we had some intermittent recovery. And then within about an hour, we were pretty much fully recovered.
Awesome. Thanks, Pete. You also went into question number 2. So I'm going to take question number 2 over to you, Andy, and then we'll close out with Michael on that one. But what tools and resources do you have available to help? And maybe it's not necessarily overcome, but work through a service interruption of this magnitude.
Well, some of the tools and resources that we use here, of course, RapidSOS is one, and we do rely on that for a lot of confirmation on what we do. We have it on a standalone network that we use as well. So that really helps. Usually we maintain the ability to use our text to 911 system that we do have. And that's a great asset that we have in Michigan with our system to communicate with those in need. We also can communicate actually through the Prepared Live portal that's integrated with the RapidSOS platform. That's another way we can do that. We also, like most other centers, we have the abilities to have backup phones like Mevo phones. We have backup plans that we use with our adjacent counties if we do have to roll over calls and do information sharing. Something unique about the Upper Peninsula of Michigan is that a lot of our 911 centers up here, at least through 7 of the counties, we share the same computer-aided dispatch systems and the same phone system as well on our servers. Therefore, we can cross-communicate with one another for our redundancy as well when we do have these rollover issues during some type of incident or interruption or outage. So those are just a few ways that we try to mitigate that and tools we have.
Yeah, love it. Definitely having tools in the toolbox and meeting your community where they are, right? And in the means and mechanism in which they would like to communicate with 911. Michael, what about you? What kind of tools and resources do you have available?
Yeah, so we utilized several of our tools. Actually, we had to go pretty deep into our toolkit on this one just because of us losing the administrative lines along with our 911 lines. But we utilized RapidSOS, and maybe just briefly, I'm not sure how familiar the audience is with RapidSOS, but what it does is, when you place that 911 call from your cellular device, in most phones, it also sends through the RapidSOS network, which is separate from the carrier, additional location information. Because one of the problems that we've had in 911 is, especially with cell phones, we're not able to get always good location information. And also this RapidSOS allows some additional information that you may wish to share with 911, such as medical conditions or emergency contacts as well. So really, this is kind of a separate system that runs in parallel to our 911 system. And I say that just because it was important in this case where we had internet connectivity. So we were able to get that data through RapidSOS to see who was trying to place those 911 calls. And at first, without the administrative lines, we used text to 911 to make outbound text to people that were trying to call us. So we were able to start making contact with people via those text messages. And then we deployed a cellular phone system. And once that was in place, we were able to actually make those phone calls back to people that we were seeing through the RapidSOS portal that were trying to call 911 and make contact that way. And also we used an emergency alert to let the community know what that backup number was so that they could reach us directly.
Excellent. Thank you so much, and great details. So Andy, I'm going to jump to you first on this one. How long have you had RapidSOS as part of your toolkit, your toolbox? And what was the thing that most caught your attention about the platform itself?
Well, we've had RapidSOS for about 2.5 years now here in Menominee. A lot of the things that catches my attention about is how it integrates emergency information with so many other applications. And that's continuously growing from what I understand. It's the technologies that's out there and those other applications, things like What 3 Words, Apple Enhanced Emergency Data, SiriusXM, things like platforms like that can integrate where you can actually store emergency information on or have it available that we receive in our call center when that is activated on the RapidSOS as well. And those are great tools. It's just a better enhancement, a way to confirm a lot of information that we might not have up front. And it actually can expedite our emergency response to the location with the information that we do have, or at least the type of information that do receive. So those are some of the big, I would say the biggest things that caught my attention when we first started using this, and it's grown exponentially in their integration since we started.
Awesome. Thank you, Andy. Pete, I'm going to pitch a different question over to you. How was RapidSOS instrumental for you in maintaining that continuity of operations when this interruption occurred?
Sure. Like I described, we knew pretty quick that there was some issue with the phone system. We didn't know the extent of it. So we had the numbers that we're trying to dial into our center displayed in the RapidSOS portal. And so we knew, one, there was a phone problem. We knew we had about 4 or 5 calls that did not reach us. So our supervisor was able to assign those numbers out to our dispatchers. And within, a couple minutes, we were calling them back. Fortunately, there was no serious emergencies that those calls were reporting, but yet we got back up and running in terms of communicating with people that were trying to communicate with us very quick, literally within minutes. One thing that was different for us is our admin lines did not go down. They're on a different system. So we were fortunate there. We still had text to 911. I don't believe we used that because we were able to get up and running with our admin phone lines. And then we also used Facebook to get the word out and publish our admin numbers. So if anyone needed to reach us that way, and the media, of course, too.
Excellent. And Michael, I'm going to go back a little bit for you. How long have you had RapidSOS as part of your toolbox, and what caught your eye most about the platform?
Yeah, so we've had RapidSOS here for a couple of years, and for 911 centers, I think it's important to note that this is a free service. So 911 centers don't have to pay for this service. We're able to utilize it through RapidSOS free of charge for the services we're talking about today. And obviously, right there is a no-brainer for us because the supplemental information that we get is very valuable in getting emergency services to the right place at the right time. So that in and of itself is a valuable tool, but as we see RapidSOS really expand, it's really a portal now where we can start reducing some of our 911 calls because we're able to receive things such as some alarm information, as well as additional information for things that were mentioned earlier as far as crashes and things of that nature. There's just so much data available that can help our first responders if we can tap into it. And that's really what, for me, drives my interest in our utilization of RapidSOS.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Pete, how long was the interruption for your agency?
We think it was about a half hour where we were pretty much dead in the water in terms of receiving 911 calls, and then about another half hour where there was some audio quality issues and intermittent issues, but guessing about a half hour. I'm not sure if we'll get that information ever from PFN or not, but half hour where we were totally out, another half hour of recovery, and then within about an hour we were back up and running.
Awesome. And for you, Andy, how long did that interruption last?
We saw intermittent interruption lasted approximately 3 to 4 hours from when we first noticed it. The difference for us here is that our local calling is on a different service provider rather than the one that affected our 911 trunks or 911 lines. So we were just noticing, like I'd stated before, some of the data that we were not getting in that normally populates when we receive the 911 calls in our center. That was what was mainly affecting us here. We were able to work around that, but it took about, like I say, 3 to 4 hours roughly to where we were getting back to normal activities and operation.
It's really great to hear the different experiences that you all have, but also just the tools that you have provided to your telecommunicators in order to maintain that service level for your community and still be able to, provide them with that response. So is there anything else that each of you would like to add? And maybe here I'll give you an opportunity to highlight the work of your telecommunicators, starting with you, Michael.
Thank you. Yes, I do want to really give a lot of gratitude to our telecommunicators and supervisors that were on the floor. As soon as I started hearing about the outage, I went down there and everybody was already working to implement tools and being very innovative. It's starting our response plan to implement the backup system. So they did a phenomenal job, and we had people, telecommunicators that were at training, that left training, that came in to help. And I'm happy to report that through all of that, and this happened during a very busy period for us in the afternoon, but I'm happy to say that through all that, everybody that needed emergency services that day received them because of the work of our telecommunicators and being able to promptly use those tools. And one thing for the community I would also want to just really highlight is most of Michigan has the capability to utilize text to 911. So even we utilized it a lot during this outage, but even outside the outage, I want to remind residents that you have the option, if you can't make a phone call, that you can text 911, and all you got to do is in the to section, put 911 and then type your message. So in cases that maybe you can't make that voice call, we want to remind the community that that is also an option available.
I think that's a fantastic point. Pete, for you, kind of anything else you would like to add about this?
Yeah, I'd echo some of the things Michael said. Certainly the people that were on duty at the time and the work they did, our supervisor on duty, and how proactive she was in terms of finding out that there was a problem and how to address it. 911 when operating as normal is a well-oiled machine. And when something clogs that up. It's a little bit chaotic for our dispatchers because our systems are very complex and they work very well. And if something goes haywire, obviously the nature of our work is it's pretty serious. So, overall, I'm pretty happy with how we addressed it, the timeliness, the resources we had. RapidSOS was a big part of that. When you emailed me about participating in this, it was kind of a no-brainer. Like Michael said, it's a free service. It works very well for us. It really helped us out during this outage. So, yeah, I'm more than happy to participate, and it really helped us get through this. So, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. It's interesting. We've been working with the state of Michigan for several years and have had great coverage in the state, offering RapidSOS integrations and RapidSOS portal, covering now about 96% of the population in the state of Michigan. So you all are representing just 3 of the agencies in that great state, and there's more to come. So Andy, what do you think the future of 911 might look like for the state of Michigan?
Oh, loaded question. 911, and first let me caveat on to both my counterparts there. Dispatchers, they're the heartbeat. Everything revolves around the dispatch center, and it starts, they are the first responders, and it starts with them. Highly trained, highly skilled, very dedicated personnel. You couldn't ask for better. And people that come here day to day on a mission to do a job for their own communities. In saying that, the public safety in the state of Michigan, I mean, from my perspective, it's great, and it's going to continue to get even better. Our NG 911, next generation 911 systems, are constant improvements. We're continuously finding our ways of enhancing our capabilities as the technology expands those opportunities for us. We do rely, where we're located, we rely heavily on rural volunteers in our areas that work alongside our full-time responders, and that's for the care of our community. We definitely rely on the state as well as our local communities to fully support the programs that enhance all our public safety efforts and initiatives here. The keeping the lines of communication open, that's our number one goal. We keep our lines of communication open to our public. So with the advancement of 911, that everything from phone lines to radio communications, we're moving into digital enhancements every day, no matter what type of platform or system that it is. We're getting away from a lot of the analog stuff. So as we continue to improve those things, even in more smaller rural areas, I'm much smaller area than my counterparts are where we're located in the number of persons, sometimes not necessarily geographically in the area that we service, but with the number of employees as well. So, but we have to, just like bigger cities, larger areas, we have to be able to keep up with the technology and keep improving and advancing just as anybody else does. So that's number one to us. But I see great improvements. I see the state of Michigan. Since I've been here, we have gone a long way to make our improvements. Just in my short term here as the director, and I expect that to continue.
Excellent. Well, I just want to thank each of you for your time and also for your telecommunicators. You're absolutely right. They are the first responder. They're that first link in the chain of connecting a community member that's having an emergency to the resources that are needed. You all are also, I'm sure, very, very busy. So out of respect for time, Maria, we'll turn this back.